As the Planet X system continues to bear down on our solar system, we are seeing Earth changes happening daily around the world.
Oh,
Thankfully, Mike from the Council of Time has just given us all a new update on what to expect in the coming days and months, leading to the return of the Nemesis star system.
So many changes in our Earth here, in the Earth from the sun, but the sun is just getting warmed up. We have some massive external effects inbound, actually, and this is the first of a few things. We're going to have a very different type of few months coming up, actually, as forces change, planets alter. We're going to feel it, and the sun is the #1 component in our solar system that will actually indicate that these changes are massive. In other words, we're going to have the satellite issues and sporadic outages of radio waves and things of that nature, some auroras possibly, but because it's still on a small scale, I don't perceive it doing a whole lot. But I tell you what, it's going to be a good gauge for some of the ones that'll be far worse than that. This is a small happening in comparison to what we could face, or the sheer number of solar events that we will encounter over time. This would be a good indicator of what many of them will do, or bigger ones will do, because we're going to have to entertain that. For a long time, we just, a lot of people have been talking about post effect of what things have done. I can assure you, a time is coming when somebody says solar flare, it's going to cause people's hearts to skip beat, because we're going to be well acquainted with the damage the sun can actually do to the Earth. We've been very fortunate. I believe it was the 1600s. There were some events like that. Back in the 1300s, there were some events like that. So it's not the first time, but these will be the worst ever encountered, right? And because we have a built-up civilization, they're going to cause some extreme damage. We didn't have this stuff, back in the 1300s that we know of, not like this. And so it is going to make for some very massive inconveniences, right? We're going to have to entertain many more fires than normal. Conditions of Earth are going to alter. Hardships will ensue. And again, it won't be the first time. It's not going to be the first time, but this will work up to a crescendo of something that the Earth has never undergone before, right? We're very close to that. And again, for a long time, we've been talking about it. People have speculated about it. The days of speculation, the days of sideline, commentary, that's going to be over. And I'm telling you now, people are going to, when they endure some of what's happening and they begin to realize worse things are coming, it's going to be heartbreaking to a lot of people. But I caution everybody, we're going to be inconvenienced from our comforts, right? That's just simple inconveniences. We're adaptable on this planet, but we have comforted ourselves with just about everything. And if we lose those comforts, we often think the world has ended.
Oh God, thank God.
Well, that's just not the case.
There's a woman.
Open the door.
Do not let her in!
That doesn't mean the world has ended. Sure, it's going to be some very challenging times, but with a sober mindset, people will adapt. But it will get much, much worse. This time that's coming upon us is a very real time, and people are going to have some massive inconveniences. So, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be compromised in a situation like that. Right? We shouldn't. So if people want to be sober, get really prepared, then be prepared to have loss, but to still continue on. Be prepared for that. Let me go through a small scenario. If you had a bunch of marbles or pool balls on a pool table, right? And you barely take the cue ball and hit it on the rest of the balls, right? You get this slow movement, right? Everything bumps into everything, right? Everything is scattered, but not really too far, but everything is scattered. Our Kuiper belt, right? It starts out, it is small fragmentation, then it gets into these larger objects, but all of a sudden, abruptly, it is cut off, is sheared off. Right, that's impossible. What type of formation is that? That's impossible. So what it means is something fast. I mean, something extremely fast came through there, right, and was sheared off that outer band of the Kuiper belt. Now, what does that mean, though? It means when you're in a binary system and you have planets rotating around a sun, right? That sun is moving, yes, but you have these planets or objects of that sun orbiting, and when they orbit and it comes into in that area of convergence with another solar system, then you're looking at speeds that are phenomenal, right? So an object of this second sun, one of the objects rotating around the second sun, more than likely struck our Kuiper belt so fast, right, as to shear it off but leave everything else untouched. There's some extra evidence of that. It's not been discussed yet, right? Because if you think it's just the Kuiper belt, that's wrong. It's incomplete. In fact, a lot of things are incomplete when you get out that far. But they know for a fact some of the exotic particles and things that they have observed do not come from this solar system. They don't come from here. In fact, many of the particles that are trapped in or around the Kuiper belt, which is why they seek so hard to study any objects dislodged from the Kuiper belt that will come inwardly. Some of the material does not match anything found in our solar system, which means we had some sort of external object that came through very fast enough to dislodge the outer bands, right, that outer portion of the Kuiper belt, and just whiz right out. That happens. That's been observed in binary systems, right? Our sun's activity is another telltale sign. The sun has its seasons, but some of the phenomena being experienced in the sun that they're not talking about, for example, the color of the sun is way different than what it used to be, right? It's not because of the atmosphere. You can take a high altitude flight and it's a notable color difference of the sun, right? Notable color difference. So they won't discuss that for some reason, but all of us should know that. Also, its intensity is different, right? It prickles your skin when the sun hits your skin when you're outside. There was a time when anybody could walk in the sun. You could be in the desert and it would not do your skin that way. We have increased infrared emissions from the sun. The chemistry of the sun is altering. They know this through SOHO, for example, some of the optics that they have out there. Did you know that one of those devices has 24 lenses, but they only let people observe just a few of those lenses, right? Most of these devices in space have massive capabilities. They let people on the internet access some of those capabilities enough to satisfy them, and they never ask any more questions, right? But they're observing quite a bit. There's a lens that shows the sun as a three-dimensional solid image full of dots, right? Full of moving dots. It's a three-dimensional image. They do this for chemical analysis and density observations, along with some of the other filters. But the chemistry of the sun is changing. We're not talking about in the distant future. And by that, I mean a year off. We're not talking about another year. It's not what we're talking about. So we're talking about some immediate alterations in how we live our life here on Earth due from the sun. And this is an external influence. Also, at the same time, the sun is changing. You have two planets, Jupiter and Saturn, that are starting to wake up again. I'll put it that way. They're waking up again, right? There was a time when Saturn could be observed in detail, great detail from Earth. That time is coming back again, If people can interpret some of the stories, some of the ancient stories of the pantheon, the ancient deities, in a lot of cases, they were talking about the planets, right? Those were actually celestial observations, not actually some of those. In some cases, they were not talking about, demonic entities. These were direct celestial observations. And Saturn has some mysterious phenomena happening with it right now. And so they're not sharing nobody can share some of what's happening to Saturn right now, but when they do share it, right, every scientist is going to pop on it and wonder what phenomenon is this, because it's just not talked about, it's not observed, it sounds spooky at best. But whatever Saturn was in the past, it's returning to, and they were by no means benign, right? These things were active and they affected Earth in massive ways. There was a time when everybody on the face of the planet was terrified of Saturn. Every single civilization, it seems, at a specific time, had a horrible story of Saturn, and they were not connected civilizations. They described plasma discharges from Saturn directly to Earth momentarily, probably for a few months, and then it was over with, right? So what would cause such a disruption in planetary orbits like that, right? Well, we're about to find out, because if Earth is not going to keep its orbit, they've known for a long time that the orbit of Earth has changed at least 4 times, right? They also know that the spin of the Earth not too long ago was different than it is now, which totally confuses where people think things were back in the past. See how if you don't tell all the facts, you can get history totally wrong. And this is what they do this on purpose, so they can continue to be in the know, and everybody else is in an ignorant realm or something like that. But most people, they know for a fact that some of the things that they have found out, they don't match. Something is missing. They know something is missing, right? They try hard to convince themselves that no, it's not missing, this is the way it is, but there's something that eats away at every single person, that something is missing in history. There are things that are not right in historical times, and somebody's not telling something. All that stuff is returning, right? All of it will happen again. We will undergo it. We will experience it. And at that time, there will be no mysteries. Unfortunately, there will be fear.
Let me in! 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 You!
This has been the Confidential Report. For even more stories like this one, make sure to subscribe to our channel today. And please show your support by clicking the like button on this video. For even more stories and news you deserve to know the truth about, follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching The Confidential Report.